All right, so it is 2 o'clock. We're going to get going here. So welcome. Again, I'm Logan Zeck with Allen Block. I'm one of the engineers here at the corporate office in Minneapolis, if you guys didn't hear before. So today, as you can see, we're going to be covering the retaining wall tools. So that's the retaining wall estimating tool and the retaining wall app. So they're separate things. Both of them are available on pretty much the same platforms, but we'll go over that in a little bit here. So let's just jump in. So right away, our objectives are we're going to cover the different types of plan sets that you're going to see. You guys might be familiar with these already, but we're also going to talk about how to estimate retaining walls that you find on these plans, both by hand and using the AB tools. And then we're going to review the two tools themselves, as I was saying, the estimating tool and the retaining wall app. So jumping right in. The types of plans that you're often going to see are civil plans, architectural plans, and then just some hand-drawn plans or napkin sketches. So on the top right here, you can see this is more of a civil plan, which more commonly you might see as referred to as a grading plan. So this is our wall here, this curved line up here, and then you can see there's some contour lines or grading lines below here, and that's something you're going to often see on the grading plans or civil plans, along with for the retaining wall you might see top wall, bottom wall, callouts, and that sort of thing. It's just going to have the most detailed information. Sometimes there's a lot going on and it's difficult to find the wall immediately, but it should be the best place to look if you're trying to determine the geometry of your wall. Down in the bottom right there, that is the architectural plan, oftentimes also called the site plan. And so you can see we've got two tiered walls in this one here. And those are more often just going to refer to just the location of the wall. It won't necessarily have a top wall, bottom wall call out. Oftentimes it won't have any grading lines and that sort of thing. It's just going to cover where the location is of the walls. And then last of all, that's the napkin sketch in the bottom left. And that one, obviously, it's just a hand-drawn image, and so that could include anything you want it to. That's maybe more if you were out in the field and you were laying out where you wanted a wall to go, and you just needed to jot things down quickly. So it's going to be typically the least detailed. And that image down there is actually the one we're going to use today to design our wall in the estimating tool. And so that's the first tool we're going to go into. And so we can go ahead and do that now. So this just covers, again, by hand. That's going to be the easiest way to estimate a really simple wall. But most of the time, once it starts getting a more grade change, a bigger wall, you're going to prefer using these tools. So maybe a 10-foot by 20-foot wall, it's pretty simple to figure out how many blocks that's going to be. But with our estimating tool and retaining wall app, it's going to make it a little more clear how that wall is laying out and give you some more accurate estimations. So before we jump into the estimating tool, both of these, the tool and the apps, can be found on our website if you want to download these afterwards if you haven't already. And so I'm not on the website itself right now, but this is what our main page looks like. It's just allenblock.com, A-L-L-A-N. But if you misspell it, it still directs here. And right on the center, or on the main page, right in the center there, you see the estimating button there. And you can click on there, and then it's going to go to this next screen here. It should look like this. And you can see on the top of the screen will be the apps. So we have a retaining wall app and a courtyard app. And then we have the estimating tool, which will be towards the bottom of the page. And like I was saying before, these are both available on pretty much the same platforms. So you can use them on Mac or PC for both the tool and the app. However, the app is also available on mobile devices. However, the Android version was discontinued for the time being because of bugs. Right now, only the Apple version is available. But in the future, that one may come back. I don't know how plans sit there right now. So that's where you get these tools. And the one we're going to jump into first, again, is the estimating tool. So that one is kind of the more in-depth tool. It's more commonly used, I think. It's been around a little bit longer, and then it also covers multiple types of products. It has the retaining walls, the courtyard, and the fence built into it. Today we're just going to cover the retaining wall side, but in our session next month, I'll give you the time and dates in the follow-up email to this webinar, but we're going to cover the courtyard. So definitely come back for that one if you're also interested in learning about estimating courtyard. But the people that use this tool is pretty much everyone. Dealers, contractors, homeowners, even engineers use this tool. We use it in-house here as the quickest way to come up with a quick quantity estimate. And then you can also determine cost estimates with it. And again, it's a very fast tool. It's a very useful tool for a lot of parties. And it's going to cover straightforward estimating. It doesn't have a limitation to the wall size for the most part. You can use it for pretty much any walls. And then you can use it for complex walls as well. But today we're just going to stick on the simpler side of it. There's a couple options that you can select, and we're going to design some simple walls with it. So we'll just jump in here right now. I'm going to share my screen and open that up for you. And let me know when you guys can see it transfer over to my screen, just so I know everything's working properly. Got it? All right, thanks a lot, Christopher. So you'll see that I just opened up the estimating tool. This is what you'll see when you open it up. It's a disclaimer here that just covers, obviously the disclaimer. I'm not going to read through it, obviously, so I'll just hit accept. If you hit decline, it'll close out of it, but when you hit accept, it opens up the program itself. And so here's that page you were seeing before. We got the retaining walls, courtyard, or fence. And again, we're going to stick with the retaining wall side. But then also on this screen in the top right, you can input your project information. And so this is information that's going to go on your outputs. And so I'd recommend being as detailed as possible. Today I'm just going to put Contractor ABU Online for the title, and I'm going to leave the rest of this blank. I'll put in prepared by me, my initials. But you want to be as detailed as possible. And then on the left side here, you can also select the homeowner or the contractor side. The contractor side, obviously you guys being contractors would be what you'd want to use. And it's also just going to be a little bit more in detail than the homeowner side, so I'd recommend staying on that one. So I'll go ahead, and now that that's selected, I'll just click on retaining walls. And it's going to go into this first screen here where we select our block. And so if you don't know our block collections well, I'll give you a basic rundown quickly now, but otherwise you can find more information on our website on those. So on the left here, this is the AB collection, which is our split face block. It's our most common, most popular block, and it's also usually the most economical option. To the right of that is AB Europa collection. It goes through another step of tumbling process, so it gives you that little different aesthetic. And then to the right is a slate face block, which is called the Aztec. Again, these are all going to be similar in size and shape. But then the last one, the AB Fieldstone collection, is a little different shape and size to it. And it's also unique because it's a two-piece two-part product. It's got a front face unit, and then it has an anchoring unit. And so there's a short anchoring unit and a long anchoring unit. The long one is for building a little taller gravity walls. And that's kind of nice. There's some advantages to having two different blocks, the main thing being the blocks themselves are lighter. All right, also on this screen you'll see we have an option for landscape retaining wall or commercial retaining wall. And so this is what I was saying. We're going to stick on the simpler portion of the estimating tool today. That's the landscape side. The commercial one allows you to put in actual grade values and get a little bit more in detail on the wall geometry. But we're going to stick with the landscape one because I think it'll cover our wall today pretty well. Otherwise, you do have this update block and price information button. So I'm going to show you what that does quickly, but first let's select our block. So let's go AB Classic. You'll see it loads in the size of the block, the length and height, and we can change that if we want to. It also has a 6-degree setback, which is common of a lot of our blocks. We change that by hitting this update block and price information button. So when I do so, it opens up this sort of spreadsheet here. And this is where you're going to go in. Based on your location, your producer may have slightly different size block. You could go in here and manually adjust those sizes. They shouldn't vary too much though. But then also you can input cost information. And so I'm going to put a few numbers in here today just so that we have something to look at later on. These are by no means accurate values, but you can put in the cost of your block, you can put in the cost of your grid, you can put in the cost of the rock, the engineering cost, and then any amount of labor costs as well. So again, I'll just put in some seemingly random values here. and we'll see how it affects our outputs later on. So now that I've decided this is the block sizes that I want, that's the price of the units that matter to me, I'm just going to hit back. Again, we're in the AB Classic block. All of that should be updated. And then we hit continue on the bottom right here. And so this is where we actually design our wall. We don't have to do too much, but there are a few things that we can select here. So on the top left here, we first pick the condition above our wall. So our wall might be level up above there, no real surcharge. Or there may be something above there like a parking lot or maybe a sidewalk. So you want to add a surcharge, so you could select that. And then you could also maybe have a slope up above, which is just another type of surcharge. And if you click either of those options, it's going to mainly just affect the geogrid length. Today, let's pretend that our wall is level to start out with. Again, we are going to design that wall we saw in the napkin sketch. So let's take a look at that one right now. Just a moment here. All right, so this is what that wall looks like. You can see on the top side here, it's called out as a 14-inch high wall. So remember, we have about an 8-inch high block, so that's going to be about 2 blocks tall there. I'll just bring this over so we can see our tool as well. And then 30 feet into our wall, it's up to 28 inches high, so that's roughly 3.5 blocks high. And then it's going to get even taller towards the bottom of our wall at 48 inches, so it's about 6 blocks tall here. And following around to the end, we've got like a patio up above here, and it's at 48 inches at the end too, so it stays at that same height through the end of the wall. So to recreate this wall, on this simple landscaping side of the estimating tool, what we're going to do is we're going to break it up into different segments. So this first segment here, again, we're calling it level up above, and then we have to select our soil description. So you can do sand or clay. If you want to be conservative, just stick with clay because clay typically has poorer soil properties. But if you know it's a sandy or a gravelly soil there, then you could leave that selected. So I'll go with clay. I'll keep it at level. And then for caps, yeah, I'll say my wall has caps. And wall rock, volume or weight is just going to change how that appears on our outputs. And that's just a preference thing. I'll leave it on volume. So for designing our wall, we're going to keep it pretty simple. All we're going to do is decide how many courses tall this wall is and how long it is. So it's 14 inches high here, 28 inches high here. So again, that's about 2 blocks. This is about 3.5 blocks. Let's say it's 3 blocks tall, and that's 30 feet in length. So this segment of our wall, I just put in 3 courses, 30 feet long, and I hit calculate. It's as easy as that, and now we have our estimates for blocks, 63 classic blocks, 21 caps, and everything else listed here as well. And then the cost, that number might not be accurate at all, but it did do a cost estimate as well because I put in some values for the block and for the labor costs here as well. You could also put in engineering charges, but since you guys are on the contractor side, I left that out. So it's pretty simple. You get this nice output. You can copy and paste this into an Excel spreadsheet, or else you can print it to PDF with this button up here. But that's pretty much it. Now we are going to design the next segment of our wall here, this middle segment. So I'm just going to hit Add. So we're going to add another wall here. And I'm going to use the same properties of soil. We have clay soil again, but now we've got a pathway up above here. And so I'll say that's a paved pathway. We might have a surcharge there. I'll change it to surcharge. Leave the caps and everything. So for number of courses, we were at 28 inches. That was about 3.5 courses or 4. And 48, that was about 6. So let's call this 5 courses on average in the middle there. And it's 40 feet long. Now when I hit calculate, it's going to calculate just this wall here. We're on wall number 2 or segment 2. And you can see 140 blocks. It worked the same way as before. It gives you your square footage and your cost estimate as well. Now that I have multiple segments, I can go ahead and hit total, and it'll show that all in one spreadsheet, as well as all the parameters for each wall, clay and surcharge and level in the first wall. But that was pretty simple. So I could also go ahead and print the total out as well, along with each individual wall if I chose to do that. So let's finish out our wall here. Let's add the third segment here. Clay, we've got a patio up above there. Let's call it a surcharge again. And then we can see it's 60 feet long, and the whole way it's 48 inches high, which if you divide that out by 8 inches, that's about 6 blocks tall. So let's change it to 6 blocks, 60 feet in length, and then hit calculate. All right, and there there we are. We're at about 230 square feet for that one. And in total, we've got our square footage as well, about 420 square feet, and a cost down there as well. So I'll just print this out so you can see what that PDF looks like. Let's just print it on my desktop here quick. So just so it's a little bigger on your screen there, and you can see that it should be pretty much the exact same outputs you just saw with all of our wall information. And then you could print the hard copy out of that or send that in an email or whatever you had to do. All right, so that's pretty much the estimating tool. I'm going to jump back into our slides here, and next we're going to go into the estimating app. And so the app is used for a little different purposes. The app is only used for walls up to 6 feet in height, and so this is more of a residential app here. Again, it's available on Mac and PC, and then also on mobile, only on Apple products right now. It's pretty easy to use. It's going to go actually a little bit more in detail to the actual wall geometry than the estimating tool we just used, because you're going to draw out the plan view of the wall as well. And it's going to generate estimates just like we just saw, and then it's going to create a file that it's going to send to you via email that shows you just kind of a design packet with an overview of your wall and our products. And it's also going to send you what's called a Ruby script file that you can use to generate a wall in 3D using the software SketchUp. And so we're going to show you all of that here. Now I'll jump back into my screen, and we will go into the estimating app. So this is what it looks like when you open it up. You can see there's circles all around here, raised patios, sloping yards. If you click on those, it just shows how our products are used in these different scenarios. And then if I were to click on this circle image here, it would open up a web page that showed different images with all of our products. So it's just kind of a nice way to see how our products are used. On the bottom left here, we have a help button. That's pretty self-explanatory, but if you're having questions on the tool, you can go ahead and click that. How to build down here is again going to go to our literature, so that's similar. And then create your own wall button up here is how you go in to actually use the app. So I'll click on that here. This is the first screen you're going to get, and it's basically just a grid. It's like graph paper, and it may be hard for you to see on your screen there, but these boxes are 3 apart, or 3 feet apart. The reason it's 3 instead of 1 is that this is for laying out mostly when you're in the field. So if you were going to lay out a wall and you're just in a backyard, for instance, and you want to know how far a wall is, you could measure that in strides. And the typical person's stride is about 3 feet. So you could walk maybe 5 strides and say, hey, that's about a 15-foot wall. And then you could turn it or do whatever you need to do. So that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to measure this out, imagining that we took strides out in the field. So let's say we have just a house up on the top side of our page here. And let's say maybe 12 feet off of our house here, we're going to start our wall. All we do is we click anywhere on this grid. It doesn't have to be on the lines. It can be anywhere you want it to be, but I'll just say it's 12 feet out here. And then we're just going to click along our wall anywhere that we have a curve or an end to our wall or a turn. So let's say we walked 6 steps to the right here. So that's about 18 feet to the right, so now we're at 21 up there. And now we're getting close to our driveway, so we're going to turn this wall down, maybe at an angle. So let's bring another point down here. And let's just say that's our wall. We've got a pretty small wall. It's already laid out, but this is where you can then go ahead and modify it. If I wanted to remove any of these points as I was working, we have a minus button up here. That'll take that last point out. And then I could click it again. The trash button here removes all of your points. And then these are some help buttons again. This is our design manual, and these are some instructional videos. We also have an XY tool here. So I'm going to use that one now. If you click on that XY tool, it lets you specify these points a little bit more exactly. So I was just clicking anywhere on my screen, but maybe I wanted these to be right along my grid. So this is a straight wall. So let's, instead of 2.9, let's put this at 3, and instead of 12.1, let's put it at 12. So it's right on that cross there, and hit update. So let's do that for all of our points, just so it's as exact as we can get it. All right, and then I can hit done. The other buttons up here, that's just for selecting your units. We're going to stay in English for now. And then obviously a help button as well. So we're done with this screen. I'm going to go ahead and click the green arrow. That's how we navigate through this software. And our next screen is going to be for the elevation of our wall. So right now it just shows an even height wall. It's 2.6 feet in height throughout. And we want to change that a little bit. We want to change it so it gets a little taller in the middle and maybe short at the beginning. So you select that point by point. So at the end of our wall here, we can move the top or the bottom of our wall up or down. So my first point, I'm going to say it's a little lower on the top of the wall. I'm going to drop that down. And now you can see it's only about maybe 2 courses tall here, 1.9 feet. And then I'll click over to my next point, and then I'm going to make that one a little taller on the top side. There we go. And I could be moving the bottom as well, but I'm just going to leave it flush on the bottom. And let's drop the end of our wall down a little bit as well. So let's call that good. So this is what our wall looks like. If I do want to change that, I can click the Z button. It'll open that window back up. But I think it looks good right now. Again, we have a design manual button and a units and a help button. But otherwise, that's all you have to do on this screen. So I'll hit the green arrow again. And now that that's designed, we select our above wall conditions, just like we did in our estimating tool. So we're going to call this one level above, but it could have a surcharge or a slope as well. Again, clay soil or sandy soil, we'll stay conservative. We'll say it has clay soil there. And now our wall is designed. It gave us an estimate up top here. It's about 29 feet long, 83 blocks, and 20 caps. And then you can see it's drawn our wall out, and it actually added a curve in by our mitered corner automatically. The reason it did that is that the app actually always does that. It turns mitered corners or corners into a curve for a number of different reasons. With our block, whenever you can, we recommend using a curve instead of a mitered corner because it avoids creating that seam, which is going to require a lot of cutting, so it adds to time. It also kind of creates a weak point because a curve is the strongest part of the wall. Then also aesthetically, a lot of people prefer curves to mitered corners as well. So it automatically adds that in there for you. And then we're pretty much done. Along with this estimate, we can click this green arrow to the right one more time, and it's going to send us that design packet that I mentioned with a little bit more detailed information. So I just put my email address in here and my postal code, and then hit free design packet. And that brings up this web page, and it's going to send me that email. So I'm going to get out of here now. Just to save time in case that email takes a couple minutes, I already created these beforehand. But right now I don't need to save this. It's already done. If I wanted to create another wall, I could just go back and modify this tool. But I'm going to close this one here, and I'm going to show you those outputs that I get in the email there. So the first one is this design portfolio here. So this is just a cover page letting us know what we're going to see here. It shows the drawing of our wall in the plan view, also in the elevation view, and it draws your geogrid in there for you, so it's helpful that you know exactly what courses to put your geogrid on if you have any. It also gives you some cross sections here, just some standard cross sections to show you how to construct this wall, along with a page for each of our block collections with an estimate using that collection. So this is just the classic block. This is our ashlar pattern blend with the AB collection. And then we have the other collections in here as well, which shouldn't vary much with estimates, just a block type. So I'm going to go down through those. And then, yeah, that pretty much finishes it up. At the end, it just gives you, based on your provided zip code, it gives you the local dealers as well, if that's useful information to you. So I'm going to close out of here. The last thing I want to show you is the other email that was sent to you was what's called a RubyScript file, like I mentioned, and I have that saved in here as well. And how you use that is you open up our SketchUp software, which is actually, there's a free and a paid version of SketchUp. It's not our software, but I'm going to send you how to download SketchUp if you're interested in our follow-up email here. But this is what SketchUp looks like when you open it up. And you can download our Allen Block 3D modeling tool extension. It's free again, so when I have that, all I have to do is open it up, hit this little file button here, and then I can create this wall that we just drew in 3D in SketchUp here. So you select your block collection here. We have all of our collections and colors. So I'll do the AB collection I'll just leave it with the classic block, and we'll do an earth tone color. But you could choose any you like. And then you just hit Open File, and you find that Ruby script file, which was sent to you in the email. Hit Open, and it should just take a few seconds here, and then draw our wall for us. So here's our wall. It shows a little bit of grade below and above the wall there, and whatever pattern you selected. So it's really useful. It doesn't really add any work. It just gives you that visual, which is really useful for a homeowner to picture their wall. And if you are familiar with SketchUp, you can even go in here and you could put a house in here and a driveway and that sort of thing, just to give that added aesthetic. I'm going to delete this little guy here that I drew in here, but it also gives you some cross sections of the wall in SketchUp in 3D, just to show you what behind the wall looks like there, again with the geogrid and the wall rock there. So that's our 3D export. At this point I'll jump back into the presentation and we'll kind of wrap it up. So again, we covered the different types of plans you might encounter. That was the grading plan or the site plan, or else maybe just a napkin sketch. And then we covered the estimating tool along with the retaining wall app. Again, next month we're going to cover the estimating with Courtyard, so stick around for that, or come back for that if you're interested. So you can go onto our website after this and download them how I showed you before. It's pretty easy. There's that estimating button right in the middle of the screen. I definitely recommend it. So I'll open it up to questions. Does anyone have questions on either of the tools today? I'll change it into discussion mode so you can talk if any of you have mics. Any questions at all? Comments? Joel asked if there's a replay. I am going to, in that follow-up email, I'm going to send a link to the YouTube video of this discussion. So yes, you can replay this. Great question, Chris. If you do run into issues while you're using this or just want to learn more, you can call our engineering department. And I'll send our information in the follow-up email, but there's 5 engineers here, and then pretty much anyone in our office here can help you with the tools. So yeah, you can call us anytime for help with those. Anything else? All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming out. I hope you learned something. I hope these tools are something that can help you out with estimating. Again, you're going to receive a follow-up email with all of that information. So thanks again, and have a great day.